Good morning. Thanks for having me, Chuck. Thanks so much, Graham. That was amazing. I know for those of you tuning in, I know you tuned in today for the virtual breakfast. I don't know if it's sunny and shiny where it is. It is where I am. I don't know if it is where you are. One of the things you learn in the military quickly is you never want to stand in the way of people and the rest of their day. And Chuck's put together an amazing panel with some great speakers. I've had the privilege of listening to Carlos speak before. I'm interested to hear Tim's. So I'm going to hit it as fast as I can and get out of the way and let these experts really be experts. Not to correct you on your own program, Chuck, but I don't know about being rock hard. I don't know if I was ever rock hard. I was in the military. I was in the Navy. I was a corpsman for 21 years. I was not a SEAL. Most people probably already put that together based on the hair or lack thereof. I really don't have the attributes for it. But I was very fortunate. I was blessed to have had 21 years of active duty. And in that time, I had a chance to see a little bit of lots of different areas in the Navy. I knew quickly. I spent 4 years on a ship, and I knew that was not going to be my cup of tea. And I tell people now I'm on the best ship in the military, which is citizenship. I spent about 7 of those years on the Marine Corps side as a green side corpsman and embedded medic or doc. And then I was very, very fortunate an opportunity to spend about the last 7.5, 8 years of my career at Naval Special Warfare Development Group, which is now known as SEAL Team 6. Thanks for letting that secret out, President Obama. Very, very blessed to have been a support medic there and to work at a Tier 1 special mission unit at a very high level. I retired in 2010. In that time, as Chuck alluded to, I had multiple opportunities to go to Iraq and Afghanistan and lots of other places where some of my other brothers and sisters have amazing timeshare. Got to see a lot of things and do a lot of really cool things. And more than anything, I got a chance to work with high-level individuals operating really at their peak level of performance and really learned and took a lot from that. And I say that because it's part of my intro, right? It's part of, if you looked at Chuck's page, he put my bio up there. I retired in 2010. I immediately started teaching first responders. I teach a lot of tactical medicine and tactics and shooting, and I've had an opportunity to work with the FBI and lots of other 3-letter agencies. All of that said, that's great, right? And as much as that's my intro, what I'd really like to do is give you another intro, right? And the real intro is, hey, I'm Bill Harris. I'm the son of a firefighter. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. First and foremost, I'm a sinner. I'm a liar. I'm a cheat. And I make a lot of mistakes, and I don't have it all figured out. And the reason I tell you that, and I lead with that, is because all of the other stuff in the first intro really is just some things that I've done, and it doesn't really define who I am. And the reason I think that's important, and the reason that it matters to me, right, and the reason that this is sort of my testimony is I found myself a couple of years ago really, really struggling with mental health, with anxiety issues and PTSD. And I really felt like I was lost at sea. And, I was probably at the lowest point of my life. And one of the things I tried to do was set some goals, right? I tried to say, okay, I'm coming up on 50. And I started to ask myself difficult questions, important questions. And I think questions which at some point in life we should all ask ourselves. Who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I headed? How did I get here? All those sort of important things that we ask ourselves. And if you're not asking yourself those important questions, I'd encourage you to start doing so. Who are you? Whose are you? And what are you doing? And I really struggled to answer those things when I started to be truthful with myself, right? I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was going, didn't know where I was headed. I really, like I said, I felt lost at sea, and I kind of let the enemy creep into my mind. And the PTSD and those things were crippling, right? And so, to use the best way I can describe to you kind of what I did and how I kind of was able to get out of some of that mess that I created for myself. I'll use land navigation, right? It's a very simple skill set that I think as Marines we learn, as infantry guys we learn. It's common sense stuff, right? It's good, core, basic, fundamental skills, right? And to get from point A to point B, you got to have a map, you got to have a compass, and you got to know how to read those things, and you got to plot a course. If you don't know where you're headed, you're never going to get there. So for me, the first thing I started with is, okay, I got some goals, and I can put some smart goals out there, and I know, hey, I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father to my kids. I want to be better in business. I want to set these goals, and I want to plot a place to go. And that's all great to have some direction. What I figured out is I can look at that on a map, but I can't start heading in the direction of that because I have no idea where I am. My map I was lost on my map. As I said, I was lost at sea. And so, one of the things that we learn or we teach in land nav is if you don't know where you are, right, start looking for prominent terrain features. Start trying to find something that you can at least look at and then maybe reference the map. And so for me, when I was down at my lowest point and I wanted to get back on my feet, somebody told me, hey, the easiest way back to your feet is, first get on your knees. And so the way that I was able to sign a point in some direction was to head back to faith, was to look toward God, to look toward the one thing that had always been there, the one large thing that I could always find regardless of how thick the forest got or how lost at sea I was. One way that I could orient was that. And so that was super helpful for me. And so, only through God's grace and through the blessings of friends and neighbors, they dragged us begrudgingly back to church. And then this past July, I was able to spontaneously get baptized. I felt a nudge. I felt a calling. The pastor said, hey, if you feel like this is speaking to you, it's resonating with you, then come up and get in the water. And what he said to me, are words that I'll never forget. As I kind of went up and I volunteered to get baptized, he said, hey, when you get in the water in a few minutes here, what I want you to do more than anything is leave it all in the water. And for somebody who felt as though I really was struggling, nobody understood where I was or where I come from, and that I just had so much and I didn't know where to go with it, the message hit so powerfully for me. I knew I could climb in that tank, I could leave it all in the water, and Jesus' sacrifice and all of the things that he's done, he could take that all. He could take it all from me, and I could come out lighter. I could come out and at least now start heading in the direction I wanted to go, because at least now I had a good reference point. And so for me, that made all the difference in the world. The other thing that you learn in land navigation is that you need some tools, right? You need a compass. And I had a compass, right? I think we all have a compass. We all sort of think we know what's right or wrong. But I realized over time that my compass wasn't oriented, and trying to orient it by myself wasn't working, right? So I needed something to calibrate off of. And so one of the other things that really, really changed, something else that maybe if you're lost and you want to get somewhere that would help you, that I could offer up is, one other way to get to your destination is, first off, ask somebody who's already been there, right? Hey, can you give me directions? Can you point me in the way? Can you lead me? And so I started to realize and take stock of my life and realize I don't have that, right? My dad passed away many years ago, and I don't have a male adult figure in my life that's modeling what good male behavior looks like, right? What should it look like? What is a real man in today's age? And I realized I've been retired 10 years and I'm not working with high level professionals day to day that are holding me accountable and bringing out the best version of me. So I started to look for who's headed in the direction I'm going, or who's already been there and can give me directions. And like I told Chuck when I spoke the other day to him, I realized that I needed to elevate my peer group. And I think we've all heard that, right? You're the product of the 5 people who spend the most time around. But what I struggled with is, as a 50-year-old man, how do you elevate your peer group, right? It's far beyond sitting with different kids at the lunchroom, right? That's not an option anymore, right? So I started looking for men that were patterning what I wanted my life to look like. And one of the things that was immensely helpful for me was getting involved in church, getting in a small group, right? Surrounding myself with men that are already headed in that direction, have already been there. And the other thing that was immensely helpful for me was getting in a mastermind group, right? A weekly meeting of men that are holding me accountable, and guys that are going to call me out, because your friends and your family are great. But what I found for myself was I consistently surrounded myself with people who fed my ego, and people who told me how fabulous I was, and people who were impressed with what I've done in the past. And, those people love you and they have your best interests at heart, but they may not always be completely honest with you, right? They may not always bring out the best in you, because sometimes they have their own self-interest at heart. And so getting myself around a group of men that are not going to accept anything but the highest from me, that are going to hold me accountable, and when I promise some things, that are going to make sure I show up and bring what I said I would bring, that really started to help me flourish. And so more than anything, being able to come back to faith, now I would never say that I've reached my destination, but I would say I'm certainly on the path now. And now I've got a map, right? Now I'm in the Word every day. Now I'm in Scripture. Now I know that my compass is oriented. Now I'm in the boat with other guys that are rowing. And now I've got somebody leading, and now I know which direction to look, and I never feel lost anymore. And that hugely beneficial for me. And so, more than anything, what's come out of it is I feel as though I understand now why I struggled. And I understand now why I had to go through the torment and the pain, and that now my mess is supposed to become my message. And I realize now, 10 years post-retirement, there's so many things that I wish somebody would have explained to me. There's so many things that I wish our military transition program would have been better, right? They helped me learn how to write a resume, and that's frankly a skill set I've never needed to use. If I need a resume, I'll just hire a resume writer, right? But there's so many other things that when I came out the other side of it that I wish I would have known. And so now I feel called to find guys and gals who are getting out and say, hey, listen, these are the pitfalls that are out there. And these are all of the things that are out there that can help you, and all of the folks and organizations that want to see you thrive. Let's connect those dots. Let's get you linked up together, and let's find ways to be successful together. And let's, find ways to flourish and grow together. So for me, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. I'm thankful to share. I hope somebody finds some help in that. If you're interested in what I'm doing, you can find me at elevatedpeergroup.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me through Chuck. But more than anything, it's not about me. It's about, pointing your eyes in the one true source. That's God, knowing that he's always there, and knowing that he'll always keep you on the right path, and surround yourself with people that bring the best out in you. And part of that, right, part of growing and part of that blossoming is sometimes you got to prune, and you got to cut away the dead stuff, and you're going to have to separate yourself from the things that frankly aren't serving you. And that sounds harsh, and that was really hard for me to understand. But I wasn't able to bear fruit until I started cutting away the things that were negative in my life, and the things that were pulling from me and not feeding me and not helping me flourish. And I hope that if you're out there, that you find some encouragement in that. With that, I'll throw it back to Chuck. Thanks for the opportunity.